Great news! This is a sponsored video. Stay tuned for more information later on.
If you're feeling down and you're feeling a bit miserable, come and see the Earth from space, and it sort of sorts your head out, clears your psyche. So that's good.
Space. Is it real? How do you know actually if it's real? Isn't it possible that you could just have been indoctrinated to believe it to be real? What we have just observed in the beginning of this video was someone actually believing they went to space. I don't know if you noticed, but it was literally showing him inside a simulator. So sit back and let's see how it's possible to actually fool people into believing something that is not actually real. So we start off with space cadets in London.
Space cadets will have to be suggestible. Suggestible people are more likely to believe all that they see and hear.
Yeah, they were first shown some dots and they were asked to show them faces. Now, they need to try and see the faces on there, so it was to see who's suggestible that actually would lie to say they see the faces.
They want to believe in something so much they'll see something that doesn't exist. Something so much they'll see something that doesn't exist.
This next test was to see if they can measure the group's conformity. If they can conform to what is going on, then they should be the right people.
Our actors will be on hand to help convince the cadets they may really be blasting off into space. But those who changed their gut instinct after seeing the numbers on the board were the people for us.
Yeah, so they were looking for people that would change their answers just because of what they see on the board. Let's for instance say a person said they only saw 75 eyes inside that jar. But then when they look on the board, they had changed all the people's answers and made it much higher. So it would say 375 for instance. Now, the people with the conformity test would see, hang on, maybe what I'm thinking is wrong, so let me go more closer to the ballpark of what I'm seeing on the board. You get where this is going? Are you tired of your online activity and your personal information being sold? If you're like me, you wouldn't want all your personal information and data to be shared with people across this plane that we dwell upon. Imagine having to be stress-free knowing that you have protection against all people out there wanting to sell your information, or even worse, use it for personal gain. Private Internet Access, VPN, is here to help. With private internet access, you can browse the web anonymously, encrypt your internet traffic, and unblock websites with ease. No matter where you are or what you are doing online, PIA has you covered. Want to watch your favorite Star Wars movie, but it's not available in your country? No worries, VPN has the solution for you. Just change your location and there you have it. Protect your online shopping, your financial information, and your personal data with just one click. Watch movies and more without the hassle of wondering who has your picture, banking details, or even your home address. Private Internet Access VPN, the ultimate solution for your online and privacy needs. With PIA, you are always safe. Get started today and take back control of your online privacy.
See a thing. After the break, we'll see how this small corner of England was transformed into a convincing Russian space agency.
So after they've done all those little tests to figure out if people are just going to go with the consensus of the group, they decided, well, we have to make this convincing for the people we've just chosen. So they had to take an airfield in Ipswich and they had to push it on the narrative that the people are going to Russia so they can have their astronaut training for 3 weeks. So they went ahead and they started changing the airfield, the old used military airbase in Ipswich, to make it look exactly like Russia. They went and they changed all their signs. They got food. They literally went to Moscow and bought food and supplies and soaps and stuff to make it look as authentic as possible for the trainees.
There cannot be a single thing out of place. Every trace of English has to be erased. Welcome back to Space Cadets. So far we've transformed a disused airbase near Ipswich to appear like an authentic Russian space training camp, right down to the freezing breath.
Now, if they went through so much trouble to turn an Air Force base in Ipswich, England, to make it look like it comes from Moscow in Russia, so it wouldn't be possible for the people in the so-called ISS to be doing the same thing to all the suggestible people.
All you have to do is convince 9 people they're in with a chance of going to space, convert a disused airbase in Ipswich into a convincing Russian training camp, put your 9 contestants through 20 days of training and lectures before choosing 3 of them for the actual mission, where they, along with an undercover actor, will spend 5 days orbiting Earth as Britain's first ever televised venture into space tourism in this shuttle.
Everyone say, Tim's going to the moon!
Tim's going to the moon!
I'm going to the moon.
Applicants have been rigorously tested for their suitability for the most ridiculous adventure in the history of space travel. Of course, if you're a cadet, it's otherwise known as a 5-day mission to orbit the Earth, or so they think.
I'm going to the moon.
Mission to orbit the Earth, or so they think.
Remember, they were looking for people that they would be called suggestible. That is exactly how it is with the globe believers. They are very suggestible. If you find out and you talk to a person that believes in space travel, it's all based on suggestibility, on what they were taught as a young child.
Granny, are we really going to the moon? No, Peppa.
What they were taught in university, what they see on the television. Not what you would literally know to be reality or fact.
Is gravity.
You have no idea. Okay, next question.
I recently had a debate with Mr. Sensible, and I asked him a simple thing. I asked him, why is it that you guys believe in the globe, but you cannot demonstrate it? His answer simply was, we look in the sky.
So in a recent debate, FLatzoid was commenting or claiming that the planets, etc., are just lights in the sky. So I gave the example of comet Shoemaker-Levy 9, which struck Jupiter and was caught photographically.
So looking in the sky literally just proves that you guys have what they call suggestibility.
Here is Copernicus's idea.
With the sun as the center.
The sun is the center, and now suddenly
All the planets
are going always the same way around.
You ask yourself, well, what would they gain with all these lies? Well, very simple, just like this TV show. What would they gain to have the TV show? Could it be the thrill that they got it right to be able to prank these people to believe they were going to a place that they weren't going to?
The first televised British space tourists. That's right. Let's just go through that again. You can take it in. The very first televised British space tourists.
So after training these suggestible candidates for 3 weeks in the so-called makeshift Russia,
The role of flight commander.
I'll be responsible for communicating instructions to the rest of the group and for ensuring that instructions are carried out correctly.
they got it right to get them onto a platform that is literally just a simulator.
Directors has been given the job of building a space shuttle interior capable of convincing our space cadets they're blasting into space.
He has a set that has been used in the film Space Cowboys and Apollo 13. But how's he going to make it move around and feel like a real shuttle? Together with his team of engineers and hydraulics experts, they come up with the idea of placing huge airbags on each corner of the shuttle's base.
And they thought they were actually going to space.
This is it. The time we've all been waiting for. The brave British space tourists, Billy, Kerry, Paul and Charlie, to a lesser extent because he's an actor and he's got a lame cover story about being a poet. But anyway, they're about to blast off into space.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Parts of the Russian segment. Got the service module down here. This is the FGB. It's a Russian-built module, but the United States owns it. It's mostly for cargo stowage.
Hello, I'm Colonel Mike Fink from the United States Air Force. I work at NASA, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. I work at NASA, then work at NASA, then work at NASA, then...
Don Pettit. I'm a NASA astronaut.
Okay.
Most of the time, you are absolutely correct. The standard cup will not work in a weightless environment. You know, the cup that we're all used to drinking. A standard cup like this does not work in a weightless environment. It requires gravity to hold the fluid in the bottom of the cup, and it requires gravity to allow the fluid to flow out when you want to take a sip. A standard cup like this does not work in a weightless environment. It requires gravity.
The space industry, my man gets to speak all the world to a stage. But beyond it, there's an even bigger stage for the honourable gentleman and others to investigate. And I hear that there are reports in newspapers, I think the Telegraph, that the Americans are getting quite excited about people coming from outer space.
Would you like the chance to go into space? Okay.
But one thing we do know is that space violates natural law. Now, based on natural law and what we can be demonstratable on Earth, we know that they are definitely not going to where they claim. But you ask, I see the ISS high above in the sky. Heck, we've had flat earthers like Jeranism show us the ISS high in the sky. No one's claiming there's nothing there. We're claiming where you are stating it to be is impossible. There's definitely something high up there. You'd be stupid not to know there's something there. But is it a tin can floating in a natural vacuum? Whoa! That would be impossible. Based on the second law of thermodynamics, because it would be an open system adjacent to a vacuum, in this case an ultra vacuum surrounding system, the air we breathe would not be able to keep the pressure. It would simply disperse into the surrounding system and fill the area around it. We do not see this. Why? Because it would go against the natural law of thermodynamics.
One of these bulbs, some bromine, and in the other I have a vacuum. And if I open the tap between these two, you will see spontaneously the bromine rush from one to the other. Now that is the simplest change we can have, perhaps, because all that happens is a change in entropy. In this case, the expansion into a vacuum, nothing else is involved. There's no energy change, there's no temperature change, there's no change except entropy.
Now we can demonstrate all these things, all these claims, showing that gas pressure requires containment.
Without the balloon, these air particles aren't going to be striking anything. Therefore, there is no pressure. Without the balloon, these air particles aren't going to be striking anything. Therefore, there is no pressure. Without the balloon, these air particles aren't going to be striking anything. Therefore, there is no pressure. Therefore, there is no pressure. Therefore, there is no pressure.
Yet, it is impossible for the globe believers to demonstrate to us or provide us with anything other than making bold claims on belief and suggestibility. Let's take, for instance, the ISS, the Buoyance Lab in Houston. They literally have replicas of the so-called ISS where it's supposed to be, and they do the training underwater. Let's take that into account next time when the new story of space comes along and you have the suggestibility to believe it just because it follows your belief in a narrative. Till next time, God bless.
Hello and welcome to Space Cadets, a show based on such a simple set of ideas. I'm surprised it's never been tried before. There are big cash rewards for them, so even if they're not on the moon, they should be over it.
Guys, don't forget to click that link. It's 83% off. Don't miss out.